Today we're diving into a really fascinating new PHP framework that's making some noise by barely being there at all. It's called Marko, and it's built on this powerful idea that sometimes the best code is the code you don't even have to write.
For any of you developers out there who've ever felt buried under these huge, feature-packed frameworks, this question probably hits home. What if we could just strip away all the boilerplate, all the magic that happens behind the scenes, and just get back to the basics? That's the exact question Marko seems to be built on.
So what is Marko really? Well, the official pitch is pretty interesting. It's a modular framework built for modern PHP. We're talking 8.5 and up. And it's trying to give us the best of both worlds. You get the super flexible, component-based power you see in something huge like Magento, but with the elegant, fun-to-use developer experience that made Laravel so incredibly popular.
But honestly, that high-level description doesn't even begin to tell the whole story. What really makes Marko unique, what gives it its identity, comes down to 4 core principles that guide every single decision in its design.
And here they are. We've got true modularity, loud errors, a commitment to being explicit over implicit, and baked-in accessibility. Now, these aren't just buzzwords they slapped on a website. They are literally the architectural pillars of the entire framework. So let's break down what each of these actually means for you, the developer.
First up is true modularity. Okay, so in Marko, basically every single feature is its own little self-contained composer package. This means the interface, what it does, is totally separate from the implementation, how it does it. So what does that mean for you? Let's say you want to swap out the router or the validation engine. Go for it. You can do it without having to rip apart and refactor your entire application. It's pretty amazing.
Next, and oh man, this is a huge one for anyone who writes code: loud errors. Marko has like a zero-tolerance policy for things failing silently. When something breaks, it doesn't just crash and leave you guessing. No, it tells you exactly what went wrong, it gives you the context of where it happened, and a lot of the time, it even suggests how to fix it. Just think about that. That's less time banging your head on the keyboard debugging and more time actually building cool stuff.
And that leads right into the third principle: explicit over implicit. We've all been there, right? Fighting with a framework that has all this magic going on in the background. Well, Marko says no to that. There are no magic methods, no hidden rules that you just have to know. Everything is right there in the open. It's discoverable, it's clear, and it's type safe. You can actually read the code and understand what's happening from point A to point B.
So with a philosophy that sounds this good, you're probably thinking, okay, what's the catch? It must be a pain to set up, right? Well, staying true to its whole minimalist vibe, getting started is incredibly simple.
Getting up and running is just refreshingly easy. Seriously, if you have a modern PHP setup, chances are you already have everything you need. You just need PHP 8.5 or newer, a few standard extensions that are pretty much everywhere, like MBString and PDO, and of course Composer.
And that's literally it. To spin up a brand new Marko project, it's just one single, standard Composer command. You run Composer, create project, give your app a name, and you are good to go. No complex installers, no configuration wizards to click through, just one line.
Okay, so the theory sounds great, but talk is cheap, right? Let's actually see how this all works in the real world. We're going to walk through a very simple CRUD API for blog posts built with Marko to see just how lean this thing really is.
So for this demo, we have a basic API to manage blog posts. You've got all the usual suspects here. You can get a list of posts, create a new one, get a specific one by its ID, update it, and of course delete it. Standard stuff. Let's see how it behaves.
All right, so check this out. We send a valid post request to our /posts endpoint with a title and a body in the JSON. And what do we get back? Exactly what we'd want: a 201 created status code and the data for the brand new post we just made. Simple, clean, works perfectly.
But now, this is where it gets really cool. This is that loud errors principle in action. Let's say we mess up and we forget to include the body field in our request. We don't just get some vague server error. Nope. We get a super specific 422 unprocessable response, and the JSON clearly tells us the problem. The body field is required. There's absolutely no guesswork needed.
So the API works like a charm, and it gives fantastic error messages. But the part that is really going to blow your mind is what the project's code structure actually looks like. Wait until you see the file system for this thing. Just look at this. The app directory, it contains only the code for our post feature, and that's it. The config and modules folders,
totally empty. The public folder has just one little index.php file. There is no boilerplate, no extra directories for services or providers or middleware you aren't even using. It has only what is absolutely essential for this API to work.
And this brings us right back to that explicit over implicit idea. So where are the API routes defined? Are they in some huge separate routes file that you have to hunt for? No way. They're defined right there inside the controller method that actually handles the request. The index method literally declares that it handles a GET request to /post. It's all right there together, so clear and so easy to find.
Okay, so after seeing all that, we have to ask the big question. So what? Why does this super lean, minimalist approach actually matter? What's the real takeaway here?
You know, the developer from the source material, Tony Shapa, he really just summed it up perfectly. He said, "I like how lean it is. It has only what you need." And that right there, that captures the entire appeal of Marko. You're not spending your time fighting the framework, you're just writing your app.
And that's the key takeaway, the most crucial point of all this. The minimalism you see in Marko, that's not a bug. It's not a lack of features. It is the feature. The whole philosophy is built on this idea that by giving you less, it actually empowers you with more clarity, more control, and way less mental clutter.
So it leaves us with a pretty interesting question to think about. In a world of constantly growing, complex tools, is it possible that simplicity is the ultimate feature? Marko is making a really strong case that it just might be. It's definitely one to keep an eye on. Thanks for watching.